Good morning and welcome back to Plannercraft. I'm Natalie and I'm going to be taking you through a bit of a limited item challenge. So Ian has picked 6 items for us today. So we're going to be working with a little bit of music paper, a 3-inch card blank, so we're working Diddy, an artist sketching pen, crackling campfire distress ink rather than oxide, and salvage patina ink rather than oxide, and some free bird stamps. So, hi Lou, hi Sally, hi Carol, and I have 2 Facebook users who have said morning, but I don't know who's who. So I do apologise if I'm not saying hello, but I'm sure somebody else will point me in the right direction. So, let's get started. So my thought process is I wanted something that was going to be quite simple to do, but also simple in terms of design, because we're working in a small space, so you want to be able to actually fit everything in fairly easily. And if we look at the size of our bird stamps, our bird's actually quite big. So I'm going to be working with a kind of aperture design so that we can have room for our bird and our sentiment. Is that not quite sober, Carol? And hi Mum. So on my scanning cut I've set up a couple of things. I've set up a frame for cutting out of our musical paper, because this has got like a coating to it, so it's not going to be very good for distress blending or stamping onto. So I can cut out of that for our background. I've also created a slightly smaller version, which is going to be our aperture for our card. So Ian hasn't let me pinch his phone today, so I will talk you through what I'm doing, even though you might not be able to see it all. So I've been a bit prepared, which isn't like me, I know. And I've actually created the design already, just to limit the amount of time that you're not seeing something going on. So I'm going to apply my paper. I'm going to save my design that I've already done. Just so that I can take that aperture out of the way for a moment. Now, because I'm using an auto blade, I don't want to cut the paper and the card at the same time. If you're using a CM, you can do both at the same time, but you set it for your paper. Then when your paper's cut, peel off your paper, and then you can just pop your blade up a little bit for that last little bit for your card aperture. Has he been nice? He's been fairly nice. He's picked a good combination. So, you know, he's getting better. I'm just going to delete my aperture so that I'm just having my frame on my mat first of all. Now I've centered everything so it doesn't matter which way I cut, because it's a square and a circle. If it was an oval, then you'd want to make sure you got your paper the right way off of that. I'm going to go OK, and because this is paper, I'm going to go for the vinyl blade. And hopefully my mat will load OK today. It's had a few moments this week where I've been doing lots of samples and things. Okay, so I'm going to go to cut, pop in my vinyl blade, and I'm also going to reduce my speed. I had it up at 9 because I was doing something big and complex yesterday. So I actually broke my own record for a cut file. Okay. And it's still fairly cold here. It's supposed to be really nice this weekend. So I'm hoping that maybe, you know, the shorts can come out rather than the jumpers. Hello, Linda. So for those of you just joining, this is a limited item challenge. So this is a 6-item challenge that Ian set me today. Now just because this is paper, I'm going to very gently remove this from my mat. Now, if you find your paper pills of pasta and you've still got loads left, just curl it back in the other direction. Okay. Thanks for that. Okay, so there's our frame. So now let's get my card blank, and I can pop that back onto my mat too. Now I'm going to show you a little tip, so I'm going to move the camera so you can see this. If you're working with a card blank and you want to put an aperture in it, first of all I'm going to move it in so we're 1 inch in at the top and the side. But then you're going to really struggle to see where your crease is in your card. So if you just grab some washi tape or a bit of masking tape, something that isn't going to mark your card when you take it back off. Yep, rag and bone man. Okay, so I'm going to line this up to my score line on my card blank, which is always interesting at this angle, I have to say. Go on. There we go. It's a bit easier for me to see if I hide the light. And I can see where my fold line is. So I'm going to be cutting my aperture out of this section. There's my score line at the top of my washi tape. So then it should be really easy for me to get that in the centre. You have to ask what's a rag and bone man, like a scrap man. So he comes around and if there's any scrap bits to go, he gathers them up and makes money that way. You've got drizzle there. I think it's dry. Okay, so I'm going to go back and reset and reload my design from my USB. I can then go to edit and delete the frame that I've just cut and move my aperture across. I'm going to do a background scan. Scraps of what? Pretty much anything. So particularly metal, but also the one that comes around here will also take wooden bits too. No, I don't know what the equivalent would be in Australia either. Okay, let's see if I can manage to get this across. So you can see that the outline of our card, and there's our washi tape to show where our scoreline is. I can bring that in. I'm going to go to edit, and I'm just going to nudge that because it's a bit tricky to get it to go where I want it to. So by moving our card in that inch, that means that it's easier to see the card as a whole, whereas if we put it into that top corner, it would chop off, so it would be really difficult to try and get that centre alignment. Chances of it being perfect are pretty thin, but we'll go with it. We'll go okay, okay, okay. I'm going to go to cut. And let it go. Oh, is it not quite up enough? Sorry about that. It's a bit difficult because what I see on the preview is different to what you see. Let me zoom back out so that you can see that when we come back. Okay. So if I go back a screen, you can see there's our card. I don't think I can really get it that much closer. Just limitation to the camera on. And there's the washi for our scoreline, so we know our scoreline sits at the top of that. And then I just nudge that into place. It's probably a bit difficult for you to see the circle, but it is there. Let's see. There we go. So just by bringing it in that inch, it makes your life a lot easier. Okay. So now that we've done that, there's our card blank, and I'm going to very carefully take off my washi tape. So it's just there as a guide, and let's see how that's working together with our frame. So very slightly off, but not too bad. So I was hoping for a bit more of an even border, but I'll work with it and it's fine. So let's take off my circle because I might use that again in a minute. And I'm going to put you back up here. So let's stick this on first of all. So I'm going to twist that round because my treble clef was up the wrong way. And I'm going to work to this edge here. I'm going to be using some of my Tombow Mono because I'm going paper to paper. Wet glue is always a good idea where you need to position something accurately so that you've got that little bit of wiggle room. Okay. So before I go too far, I'm going to fold and burnish my card. So when I did my aperture, one of the things I wanted to check for was about fitting in sentiments. So I didn't want my sentiment to be chopped off at the ends. So we could go for a happy birthday. We could go for a fly high. And a little birdie told me it was your birthday just about fits. Just about. But I think I'm going to go for fly high just because of the size of our bird. I'm going to get my stamp platform. Get my magnets out. So when I'm positioning this into my stamp platform, if I just close it up for a moment, just so you can see nice and clearly, I'm going to be working down into this corner. But if I hold this card up the right way, we want to stamp into this circle here, but we don't want to risk getting it on the front of our card. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it upside down, pop it into the corner. Okay. I'm going to line up my stamp. So let's go to me fly high. Now remember to stick your stamp upside down too, otherwise you're going to be sending this to Tracy. Okay, now I'm going to bring this up towards the top because we've got our little birdie to fit in. And like so. So when you're happy with the position of your stamp, I'm going to close the lid, lift it up, and I'm going to open my card. I'm going to stick a magnet just in that corner, and I'm going to pop another one over here just to hold that flap open. Now, because Ian has given me 2 distress inks to stamp with, we may not get a perfect impression. But don't worry, because we've got our artist sketching pen to tidy up with. So I'm going to stamp it a couple of times and hopefully build up that colour. Oh, my lids flexing a bit. A bit more. Okay. So now that I've got that, let's put that there. And let's grab my pen. So I'm going to trace over the top. Around. Okay, we're getting there. Oh, don't put your finger in it like I just did. Go. So first bit done. Now we have some little flowers and things on here. So to tidy up that little bit of a smudge, I'm just going to grab my stamp block, pop that on, ink that up. I'm going to have a look at my stamp platform in case it's broken, because it shouldn't be wobbling like that. And I'm going to do the same. So get my pen, I'm going to go around the outside, I can go around the inside too. Oh, and don't forget the dot on the eye. There we go. So next we need our little birdie. So I might change my stamp platform in case one of these has gone a bit. It doesn't look like it's broken. It's having a bit of a wobble. Weird. So with my stamps I just clean them with a bit of bamboo, occasionally a bit of water if it needs it. Distressing doesn't really. Let's go for our outline of our bird. I will test it once more just to see if it is the hinges that have gone a bit weird. Okay. Going to pop my magnets in place. Actually, before I stamp, idea. I'm going to do a little bit of ink blending and make use of these colours that we actually have. So I'm going to pull out, let's go for these. So I need the red one and my greeny blue. And I'm going to do a little bit of colour blending. So I'm going to work with my stamp reference to one side, and if I put it on the white you'll be able to see it better. Let's zoom in a little bit so you can see this better, like so. And I want to put some blue up towards his head, and then we can introduce the crackling campfire down into his main body area. So I'm going to start off with my crackling campfire, like so. And if I move my little clear reference sheet over the top, I can actually see whether I need to put a bit more in, or if I want to put a bit of extra shading. Do I want to change his shape? So I'm going to put a bit just round here. Okay, I'm going to swap brushes to my green, and then I can come in around here and like so. Now try and have an area that actually sort of blends in the middle. Doesn't have to be perfect, but so that's looking pretty good. I'm also going to do a wing, so let's go Okay, I won't forget to show the foiling from yesterday because that was done. So there's the wing. Or we could go for that wing. I think I'm going to go for nice simple. And then finally we can also do a tail. So for the tail I'm thinking I'm going to start it blue so that we get a contrast. And then go back to the crackling campfire for this very end bit. Okay, so where this bit is here, we can start to put in a bit more of that crackling campfire. Like so. I'm going to pop my magnets back on. And there we can line our stamps up over the top. So we wanted our darkest colour to be around his belly and up into the blue. We then did his plain wing. So this particular set has lots of different options. So you can create all kinds of birds. And then his tail. Squeaky. Okay. So I'm using some more of the Crackling Campfire Distress ink. Give me a guide with this outline. Okay. It's not wanting to stamp for me today. Come on. There we go. So let's go straight in for his eye, and I'm going to dot that first of all. I'm going to take the stamps off for a second. Do 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 do. And there's a little beak stamp, and I'm just going to line that up. Oh, be a wonky beak if you went there. There we go. And we can give him a little beak. Give it a quick little clean. Again, doesn't take much. Have I managed to print off the stickers? I will be doing that on stream later today. So hopefully when Ian finishes, I can be available to finish off the planner sticker course. So I will do that on stream as well so that you can see the process. So I'm just going to roughly cut these out to start with. Now, because I've done the ink blending, what I wouldn't suggest doing is leaving an offset for these. Stay. It's going to be one of those days everything's going on the floor again. Now, let's zoom back up, and now I've got it. There we go. Now, if you're doing this off stream, you can do this a lot more carefully than I can. Okay, so there's my wing. There's my tail. And finally, here's my bird. So had we stamped that outline in black, I probably would just let the scan and cut these out, but I think I might have been asking a bit much of it to try and do this one, especially where the crackling campfire outline goes over the blended crackling campfire. Okay. So let's bring in my card. So one of the things to bear in mind is that our little bird is only going to be adhered just down into this bottom corner. So if you want to pop some acetate in behind, you can do, to help give it a bit of support. And let's see if I've got a little offcut that I can just use. Say for opening up a whole new sheet. I think I might have to start a new sheet. Yeah. Okay. Now when working with acetate, just bear in mind how you're going to fix it, because it will be visible. So I'm going to be fixing mine with some Sticks to 3D PVA. I'm going to go for the other bottle. That one's just a bit too watery. I need something that's a little bit thicker. Come on, there we go. You can always cut an additional frame out of your pattern paper just to hide this. If you're working with coordinating dies, you can also cut an additional bird just to tidy up where we're going to stick our bird in a minute too. Okay, just going to trim off the excess. So at this point you need to decide whether you want its tail to go down, up. Do you want to keep it within that 3 inches? Because if so, you're going to want to either trim it or you're going to change the position of your bird. So I'm going to put my bird right there. So again, because I'm going on to the acetate, I want to use the thicker glue. Let's decide where the little wing's going to go. Okay. And we can decide whether the tail's going to go up or down. So I'm probably going to trim this one off. And let's put it so it's going like so. Now you do have a stamp for his little feet, so you get a couple of little options, but to be honest, given what Ian's given me today, I'm just going to go with the artist sketching pen to just draw those in. So I'm just going to go like so, and like so. So at this point I'm thinking I could do with a couple of little extra embellishments. So let's get my piece of paper back. So normally distressing isn't meant for stamping. It's there for blending and aging. Oxides are a little easier to stamp with. So let's go for some leaves next. And I'm going to switch it over to the patterner. I'm going to take my sketching pen and let's go round, round and round and round and round. So then this matches the one inside. And again, I'm just going to doodle some veins on. So this is an alcohol based pen, so it dries almost instantly. It's a good one for using if you need to touch up the outlines in your stamps for direct cutting. And this time I can leave a whiteboard if I want to. So let's cut these out quickly, and then I can always tidy them up with my smaller scissors in a minute. So what have you guys got planned for bank holiday weekend? Oh yes, Carol, I did. I did. Let's grab my detail scissors. So when we're fussy cutting, it's easier to turn your work than your scissors. It's something that's small. I'm not going to go into all the little detail. Ian's on early this week, so it'll be lunchtime soon for us. Okay, so I'm just going to take a little bit out of that drawing in the middle. There we go. And a little bit closer for these two. Okay. Get my scraps out of the way. And I'm thinking, let's take this up this side here. So if I tuck that in there, like so. That way it'll tie through to that one that's on our insert bar card. Going to do my next leaf and put that up a little bit further. Then I can do our two flowers. Come on. There we go. So one. Oh. And time to definitely top up the glue. There's one job for my weekend. Nothing planned. There we go. And there's our finished little card. Ta-da! Not bad for a little 6-item challenge, and I used them all. So I think that is a pat on the back. Because usually one of them gets forgotten. But I don't think Ian did too bad there, did he, choosing those? So, as we got asked about the foiling. So our first attempt was actually probably our most successful on the all media card. So we did a little tester first. So you get a nice texture to it. So it's not perfect foiling. If I bring it a bit close, you can see here's a little bit hit and miss. But when you bear in mind that's with heat foil rather than the usual one that we would use for this technique, I don't think that's that bad. Then we did the other two, and those went even more kind of vintage foiling. So it'd be really nice to do that kind of effect if you're doing like steampunk or something that it needs a bit of aging, where you just want to have that hint of a sparkle without having it pick out that design perfectly. But it didn't seem to mind going over the top of anywhere that had been touched with the ink tints. Interestingly though, if it had been touched with the pastel, it wouldn't actually go over the top of the pastel. So if you look in this top example, you can see in the places where I managed to just go over the outline, you can see that that foiling didn't transfer. Let's see if I can get a bit closer. See, got just a hint. And so then we tried, because you know, new printing, you gotta try these bits out. We tried the super smooth card with the foiling, and you get a bit more foil, and obviously it's better where you get more toner. So I was trying to find the toner settings to actually make sure that it put down a bit extra toner last night. But we're getting there with it. So the all media card is 300 GSM, and that went through the main tray. And this one I think is slightly thinner, feels it, and that went through the manual feed because of being A6 rather than A5. So I think that's pretty good. So I will try and remember to pop up a link for the printer so that you can all have a look at it, and if you're in the market to replace a printer at the moment, which I know a few of you are, or have just replaced their printers. So, and that is it for today. Thank you for joining me, and don't forget, over the weekend, if you haven't done so already, you can enter in our Pretty Boxes competition. So it just needs to be a box that you've decorated, and that is a pretty open brief. And I will see you Tuesday, hopefully. So that'll be Tuesday at 11, and I'm going to be doing a bit of a focus on white foil and how we can use it. So our white foil is available in both our metallic and jewel packs. Both come with our white matte foil. Thank you, Linda. Thanks, Delcy. Have a good weekend all. And if you have any questions in the meantime, I will be about a little bit over the weekend. Monday not quite so much. I'm going to be spending the day with my mum virtually. So take care and bye.